Good morning, everybody. It's Jeff Goldberg for the Sales Pro Network. It is Friday, February 3rd, and this is the Sales Pro Network. I am a sales coach and trainer, and I founded the Sales Pro Network to elevate the profession of sales, to have a place where you can network with each other, relax, ask questions, get coaching. And as you know, every Friday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern, we either do a live training or a live interview with somebody who can add value to the profession of sales. And today is no exception, my friends. We've got a great guest for you today. Before we introduce the guest, if you're watching us live, please do say hello in the comments. If you have any questions for our guest during the interview, ask them and I'll be sure to pass them on to him. If you're watching us live on Facebook and you have not connected your account to StreamYard, when you say hello, it's just going to say Facebook user, so we won't know who you are. So please do include your name. And if you're watching us on the replay, please do put replay in the comments. And with that, it's my pleasure to introduce you to our guest today, Joe Marcoux. He is a sales sensei and the founder of the Sales Objection Online Dojo System. Good morning, Joe.
Jeff, so glad to be here. And I have to say, I rushed over from another meeting and I rushed right in. So the timing was awesome. So absolutely perfect. I'm so fired up to be here. I'm honored to be a part of this. As my logo shows, I'm honored to be here. It's great.
I'm psyched to have you, and I'm very excited to see you because, as you know, I had to send you a new link today. When I went into StreamYard earlier this morning, some things had gotten screwed up, and I had to cancel everything, then restart. I'm like, oh, please, Lord, let Joe check his email before the interview.
I saw that. So I was like, okay, I was in the meeting, and I had a notification pop up, so it's all good. It's great to be here. And again, it's an honor to be here. And hi, everybody.
Hey, I'm excited. So before we get started, Joe, is it true that in a previous life you were a rock singer?
Oh my God. This is what is this? Like Hot Ones? How do you know this? Like, is Sean Evans on this show? Yeah, in a previous life, I used to be a lead singer. Believe it or not, I used to have hair down to here, opened up for some pretty popular Canadian bands like the Tragically Hip, Big Sugar. And then I had to make a decision as a young man. It was either, am I going to be a starving artist eating peanut butter out of a jar in the back of a van, or I had a business as well, believe it or not, or am I going to follow my passion, helping people live a better quality of life through the benefits of health and exercise and sales? I followed the right path.
Got it. So why don't you give us the 2-minute version of, besides being a rock singer, what did bring you up to this point?
So I started off in the health and fitness industry at the age of 18. And by the age of 20, I was offered the opportunity to become a business partner in a small company. And I asked for some of the financial information and they weren't forthcoming. So I decided at 20 years old, and I think of it now, 20 years old, I said, I'm just going to open up my own business. And so I opened up a high ticket exercise equipment retail store. And fast forward, did a merger with a company. We became the 7th location. We then went from 7 stores to 38 across Canada within 18 months. Systems, marketing, sales, obviously being a massive part of it. Sold my shares of that and then worked for one company in particular, a division of Trek Bicycle, which is a very popular brand, as we know. I became their head of special projects, and then doing sales training all over the world led me to write a book called Boutique Thinking in a Big Box World back in 2007. Fast forward to now, post-pandemic, now doing things online. Instead of doing a one and done sales show where people get, a blip on the radar and then they go back to bad habits, now the ability to be able to meet people weekly or even daily, because some people are unlimited members, just like walking into a gym. They get to walk into the dojo and we do it on Zoom, and it's fantastic because people are now developing good habits. Does that give you a good synopsis?
That's perfect. And I remember when my son took martial arts lessons for about a year. He didn't stick with it, but I used to take him every week. And I noticed that the same thing happened every week. They went through the same exercises over and over. Is that what you're doing at the sales dojo?
Yeah. I mean, repetition is the mother of all skill. And bad habits are such that most salespeople, they don't even realize the habits that they have when they're on a call. And so what we like to say is, this is a safe place to make mistakes, and you're going to make mistakes. We all do. We're human. And so what we do is we'll throw curveballs at people for fun. And then as they develop their abilities and they get better. And we have a belt ascension model. So everybody starts off as a white belt. And then as you work your way up towards that black belt level, we make it even harder and harder, and we start stacking objections. So exactly right. People aren't even realizing their body language is incorrect in the middle of a call. Like what we're doing right now, you and I are nodding yes. Well, give you an example. When somebody says, wow, that's expensive. And if I go, well, thanks for letting me know how you feel, Jeff. I'm just curious. What am I saying right now? I'm saying, yes, it is expensive. And it's like, stop. We've got to start developing new habits. So an example of that would be like, well, thanks for letting me know how you feel, Jeff. I'm just curious, what exactly are we comparing this to? And I'm saying no the whole time. And yet I'm not being rude, and I'm not being mean, and I'm certainly not being pushy. And so these are little things that we start stacking, and all of a sudden people's confidence goes through the roof, and it's still a win-win, having fun.
Yeah, great. That's great. I want to talk about both confidence and body language more later on, but you said something that I love. I have a friend, Christian Hahn, a very funny young comedian, and he runs an open mic once a week, and he advertises it as a safe place to come and try out your material, because comedians don't want to get on stage and just be trying out their new material in front of a paying audience.
Right.
So I love the idea of a safe space, because it's scary, especially in sales, when you're working with other people who may be a little more experienced than you, or maybe not. You don't want to look like an idiot. So,
right.
so how do you create that safe space?
So this is the valid environment is what we call it. And so the nice thing about it is that we do not necessarily let everybody come into the dojo. There's some people that we have what we call an application process. Essentially, whether it's with me or one of my team members, we have a short chat, and then we allow people to come in and experience it for themselves in an actual group. And so if they're the right fit and we're the right fit for them, then yeah, they can join the membership and start working and playing. Otherwise, sometimes, there are some people that have experience. There might be some listeners that have great experience, and this might be their body language. I don't need this. Well, if that's how you feel, trust me, don't come and visit us. That's okay. So we want to create that environment where it's just a good place to practice and have fun. Like there's 4 tenets that I tell my team members that are actually part of my actual team, whether it's sales team or administration team. And it's the first thing is, hey, we've got to make a difference, but we also want to have fun. We want to keep growing. And then, yeah, we want to get paid. So having fun is literally one of the 4 tenets of my team. Otherwise, like, what's the point?
Absolutely. I love that last thing you said. We want to get paid. I was working with a coaching client yesterday. It was our first discussion. Brilliant lady, very strong experience in the HR world, and she wants to be an HR consultant. And like any coach, I asked, "What can I do for you? What's the challenge you're facing?"
How can I be of service?
I've been helping people for so long for free and giving advice. I don't feel comfortable getting paid. I don't feel comfortable asking for money. And wow, we had a great conversation for 57 minutes about you're entitled to get paid. In fact, you deserve to get paid. In fact, if you don't get paid, why are you doing it? I'm fine with helping people for free when I can, but if what do we sell? We sell our intellectual property, our experience, and our time. And
Right.
She deserves to get paid for her time, and so do you. One of the other things I really like that I saw on your website is that you not only offer a free trial, you insist that before anybody pays you, they come in and they experience the dojo for free. Why do you do that? I love it, but why don't you explain why you do that?
It's for us to be able to make sure that there's an alignment of culture. And again, we've got people from all over the world that are members of the dojo. The thing is that if we're not in alignment, and this is not BS. We've told people, you know what? I don't think this is going to be for you. And what's nice about that is it provides a safe space for our existing members, and it also allows people to know before they even click the button, hey, there's a level of safety here for me in terms of the confidence of I want to be a part of this group. And yeah, it's not just for absolutely everybody. And so that's why we do it. We want to make sure there's alignment, and alignment is important from a sense of emotional standpoint and what's your mindset. So if somebody, for example, is like they have massive egos, they're going to find out really quick that because we like to have fun, because sales should be fun as well. It's not just all about the numbers, although we do want to measure your metrics. you got to have such a mindset that, hey, my heart set's in the right place too.
I love that. There's something else I found fascinating. I came across this word, I think it was about 3 or 4 years ago when I visited Canon USA here on Long Island. You base your business model on the Japanese principle of Kaizen.
Yes.
I'm going to guess that most people don't know what that is. I lucked into finding out, but can you explain to us what that is and why you base your model on it?
Yeah, it's, Jeff, you're an example of this because as someone who I would say, well, I mean, you're a comedian as well, and to do stand up and whatnot. And you mentioned it earlier. Here's a place that you get to go to and practice, and you get to hone your skills. And even if you're a black belt in what you do, you've got to keep going out and honing the skill. And maybe it's an issue of timing. Maybe there's a couple of things that you've got to, okay, I've got to change my body language so that people get the joke, they get the bit. And so, in the same context of what Kaizen is, you can acquire a skill. And for those of us that are in sales, we all know sales is a perishable skill. And this is what's interesting is that Kaizen is Japanese for never ending continual improvement. It's sharpening the axe. And was it Abraham Lincoln who said, give me 6 hours to chop down a tree? I'm going to take 4 hours to sharpen the axe. That's the whole thing. We come in and we consistently put more practice and more practice because you're better off to make mistakes here than make mistakes on sales calls or conversations because that's where it really costs you money. So Kaizen is the context of that we all believe in.
Love that. It's right in line with, I'm a big fan of Tony Robbins, and he calls it CANI, C-A-N-I, constant and never-ending improvement.
Love it.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
One of the things I mean, so many of the things that you talk about on your website and in your posts and in our conversation, I love. And I feel the same way, of course. You help salespeople to close more business without feeling sleazy. And I not only work with traditional salespeople, I work with a lot of entrepreneurs who have to sell as part of their job. And they all say the same thing. I don't want to be pushy. I don't want to be sleazy. That's why I hate sales. So why do so many people feel that sales is sleazy or that you have to be pushy? And how can we get past that?
Here's what's interesting with this, Jeff, is that most people, they are so passionate about their level of expertise and what they do is they actually skip vital parts on the sales roadmap. So there's an actual roadmap that we prescribe, and it starts off with your compelling offer. Everybody goes to pitch. So it's like, and just recently, for example, I spoke with a group of dentists. They do what's called sleep dentistry. And I didn't even know this was a thing. And they provide what I call a high ticket dental appliance to help people with sleep apnea, which it's totally in alignment with what I believe in because it helps people sleep better. And when you sleep better, you have more energy, you recover better from exercise. If you're not wearing a CPAP machine, now you don't look like Darth Vader sleeping next to your significant other who's probably wanting to sleep in a different room. So you can think of all the benefits of having a dental appliance that, again, it's a $3,000 to $4,000 appliance. And yet the doctors and dentists, they don't want to be pushy. So what's happening is they believe so much in what they have to offer. They pitch because they believe in it. And the problem is when you believe in it so much and you jump the sales roadmap, it has to go like this. And so here are the steps in the roadmap before you ETR, earn the right to pitch. And this is the part that this is where the picture and the sound don't match. Your offer is compelling. It gets you people to, hey, I'm a guest in your space of business, and I'm curious about what you have to offer because your post or your ad or a referral. Okay, now I've got to build rapport with you. It's just Joe and Jeff having a conversation and we're building rapport. We're getting into alignment. Now I'm going to, as the salesperson, doesn't it make sense that I start asking Jeff questions that I can discover if I can actually solve the problem? Once I find that, yeah, I'm in alignment, then what we do is we transition. And the transition is, let me recap, Jeff, with everything that I've heard so far. And I might very well have my notepad and I'm just going to go over, this is what I've heard. Okay. Does that make sense? Okay. And then ask the question, would you like to know a little bit more about how I can help you solve this problem? That's the transition. Then you pitch. At that point, is the pitch pitchy? No, because you've developed rapport and you've been able to find out through a good discovery process that you can help someone.
Yeah. I'm smiling because that's the smile of recognition, because the words that are coming out of your mouth are the same words I use on a daily basis.
There it is.
It's not rocket science. And I'm always stunned, but well, whose method do you teach and whose method do you use? We're all saying the same thing, at least the ones who are good. We just use different words to say them. And
Right.
uh, first of all, I have to say, I hate the word pitch. I think the only person who should be pitching stands on a pitcher's mound at a baseball game.
Right.
I think that it's just a turn off word. At some point, we do have to present or share our information, but
Correct.
pitch to me brings up the old, ad men, from, whatever that show was with the advertising guys.
The Mad Men.
Yeah, Mad Men, exactly.
Right.
Mad Men. Something else that you just mentioned. It's so funny. I don't believe there are coincidences in life, but I had my annual physical, a few days before New Year's, and my doctor says, "Everything okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, doc. It's amazing at my age that I feel so good." And he goes, "Anything wrong?" I said, I don't know. I mean, if there's anything, I kind of crash every day about 3 o'clock. I sometimes fall asleep at my desk. He goes, "Oh, do you snore?" I'm like, my dog doesn't say so, but my kids have told me I do. He goes, "I want you to go for a sleep test." I'm like, "What?" He goes, "You might have sleep apnea." I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" Met with a sleep doctor. I have to take the test now. I have to sit with a thing overnight. And he showed me the CPAP mask and the dental appliance. I said, "Oh, if I have it, I want the dental appliance. I don't want to wear that Darth Vader thing." So yeah.
It's crazy, Jeff. And again, we don't want to digress too far. What I found out is that more people have an issue with sleep than I came to realize. And for these dental sleep dentists, again, I spoke at a it wasn't a convention. It was an association meeting for about 80 people in Orlando 2 weeks ago. And it was fascinating. It's a blue ocean of opportunity for these folks. And yet they're so technical and they're so well versed in what they know. And what's missing is the roadmap and their approach. And then handling objections for them was just a complete no, and I don't want to be pushy. And they don't, never mind, you have a dentist. They also have their staff, whether it's a dental hygienist or somebody at the front desk who, right, they need the help. And these are still business people that want to provide a service that helps so many people. Sleep. I mean, I love to sleep because I have the energy now, right? So
yeah, amazing. And one of the things I've found, and this could be a challenge for some of these sleep dentists. I worked with a company once that manufactures hearing aids, actually up in Canada, Siemens Canada. And their challenge was that they sell the hearing aids through clinics, which are staffed by audiologists. And they sold 3 different levels of hearing aids: low priced, medium priced, higher priced. And of course, the higher the price, the better the unit. But they found that the audiologists were consistently recommending the lowest priced one, because in Canada you have socialized medicine and they could get those for free. And Siemens wanted me to work with the audiologist to help them sell the higher priced ones when appropriate. And in interviewing them, what I discovered was they were worried about what was in the prospect's pocket. It's not your job to worry about that. Let the prospect worry. Show them everything, explain to them what the benefits of each are, and let them make the decision. And I think that's what the dentists need to do too. Don't worry about that the CPAP is less expensive. Show both, give them the advantages to both, and then just simply ask.
And people don't want to be sold. They want to choose to buy. And then if you can provide value, there's a process that we like to practice called the TED method. And I'll give this to you, Jeff. The TED method, you might know TED Talks, right? It's technology, entertainment, and design. They've been around since 1988. There's some wonderful TED Talks on YouTube. The way that we do it in the SOS Dojo, the TED method stands for tell me, explain to me, describe to me. And what you do when you ask TED, and you can do it in any order you want. It's just an acronym to help you keep it in your mind. So it could be, Jeff, tell me a little bit about what your sleep pattern is right now. Explain to me how you sleep at home if you're with your significant other. Does your girlfriend or does your wife like to sleep next to you when you're wearing that mask? And so suddenly it's not about the specs of the mask or the price of the mask. It's the emotional response that you can link to that, and you can dive deep. Describe to me what it would feel like to be able to have a dental appliance that would help you sleep better, and then you still wouldn't look like Bane from Batman next to someone, right? And you can have fun with that.
Yeah.
And again, when you get the descriptors out, it allows people to do what we call an emotional breath, and then they talk about how they feel about what that description would look like for the future. Because part of it, right, is we call, I know, Jeff, you're an expert. It's problem, agitate, solve. Here's the problem. I can agitate the problem and I can show you how to solve it. So I can show you, here's the pain, and then here's the heaven that I can take you to if you make this decision to go there.
Yeah, and I love how simple the methodology is. I saw one of your videos. It looked like you were in front of a large audience, and I believe you had some of your students up on the stage, and they were doing a mock sale. And I was just going, they just kept asking question after question, and I was like, perfect, excellent. I loved it. It was just great. Sales is not rocket science. I mean, it's actually quite simple if you have a methodology that you know works and continue to use it.
It's a roadmap.
Something else that you teach is confidence, how salespeople can become more confident. And I'll share this briefly with you. I did a year and a half engagement with a company, and at the end of the engagement, I interviewed all the sales management. What did you like? What could have been better? Want to find out,
Yeah.
a report card. And I believe that your clients are your best source of business intelligence, because they shared with me something that had never occurred to me. To a person, they all said, oh, the thing that we like best now after you work with our salespeople is they're now more confident. It never occurred to me I've been doing this a long time, never occurred to me that one of the things I do is I give salespeople more confidence. Of course, you can bet that now when I'm in front of prospects, it's like, well, one of the things my clients tell me they like best is that their salespeople are more confident when I get done working with them. So how can salespeople become more confident?
It literally comes back to the Kaizen piece of practice, because there's that infinite spiral of doom that people, there's so many companies right now that are suggesting you need more leads, you need more leads, you need more leads, and then just get on calls. And if people fail on their calls consistently, how does that make them feel? And then suddenly they're not in alignment in terms of how they feel and how they think. And then it just becomes this downward spiral. And so if you can not only just be a cheerleader, because I tell my team this all the time, my black belt senseis that also deliver the training, I don't want just cheerleaders, I need leaders. And there's a difference. So yes, we're going to give you course corrections when you make a mistake, this way that you can do it again and do it again and then do it right. And the development of the good habits, even if it's a safe place to make mistakes, you're going to make the mistakes. And then what happens is you develop the right habit. This way, when you get onto an actual call, you're significantly more confident, because you have to build up that confidence to be able to do it right in practice. And we ask people, can you feel the difference? Can you see the difference? Does it sound different? And when people go through that transformative process in the dojo, it translates directly into actual live sales calls.
Yeah, I think it's also partly what I call the come from. I'm pointing to my gut right now, where you come from as a salesperson, which for me is, I'm here to serve. I'm here to help you. And if I can't help you, you won't have to tell me. I'll let you know. And if I can, I'm going to share with you how I can. And then you get to decide.
It's one of the premises, Jeff, that I love, is that, and again, we're in alignment. I really want people to come to a place where, can I let go? And I want you to think about this, everybody. Can I let go of the idea that I need to make the sale? Can I let that go and just go, can I help this person make a decision? Even if the decision is not with me. If I help them make a decision, and here's what's interesting, because as salespeople, we all want to get yes. And yes is excellent. No is actually acceptable. Maybe is the part that really you got to relook at your discovery or your ability to handle objections. Because if it's maybe, I want to think about it, or the uncertainty, or I'm not sure if this is going to work for me, there's something missing in your process. Have you delivered excitement? Have you shown enough value? Or are you missing out on some questions that you can ask? Because that's really the thing that's missing. And so if I can help somebody make a decision, and even if it's no, or you know what, we're not in alignment and this isn't a good fit, that's good. It's good, because maybe all it does is it just loads up your calendar.
Yeah. If you're not closing your leads, then you don't need more leads. You either need better leads or to get better at selling. It's one or the other.
Yeah.
And I could not agree more. Yes is my favorite word in sales, but no is a very close second.
I agree.
If yes is here, no's right below it. Everything else sucks.
Yeah.
Everything else wastes my time and steals my attitude. I make it very easy for people to say yes to me. I make it just as easy to say no.
Absolutely.
And I don't argue with people. I'm not here to talk to anybody into anything. I'm here to share information, see if I have a solution for your problem, and then you get to choose. And I'm good with either answer.
And this is where I don't want to build up resentment towards people. Like one of my old mentors would say that an expectation is a resentment in hiding. An expectation is a resentment in hiding. So if my expectation going into the call is I'm going to close this, and then it doesn't happen, then I'm going to be resentful towards I like to call prospects guests. So towards my guests, because they're not a customer or a client until they pay. Then they're a customer. So they're guests. And then once they've made the decision, then I let go. It's like, listen, if they say yes, awesome. If they say no, good. Maybe we're on the same page. It's just going to create more work later. And so these agencies that claim if your ads aren't working, then you're just not spending enough money. Bull. No. What's happening is you look at your lead, set, show, close rate. How many leads you're getting in, how many people are setting appointments, how many people are showing up for those appointments, and then how many are you closing or onboarding? And lead, set, show, close. The numbers are important to go over. Also, come back to what's the emotional state? Can you actually let go of that expectation of closing? And can you just be, I'm good with decision making?
Yeah, look, in sales, we use certain terminology, and one of them is that we close a deal. But the truth is, as far as I'm concerned, I don't close anybody. They close themselves. They either choose to buy from me or they don't. It's not like my goal is not to talk anybody into anything. In fact, even with our combined experience, as good as we both are, I don't think either of us is, or together, that we're good enough to talk anybody into anything that they don't want, don't need, or can't afford. And I wouldn't want to.
I don't want to look at myself in the mirror.
My job is to have great conversations, and enough of them so that enough people choose to do business with me. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, and the other mindset piece that I really like about this, Jeff, is that instead of, it's a lot of salespeople will say, I want to get them across the finish line. I'm going to get them across and the way I look at it is like, if I look at the length of engagement that I want with my customers for the long term, for me, is I want to help them across the starting line, whether they start with me or they start with someone else. I'm okay with that as long as they get started, because they're intrigued enough. They're compelled enough to have a conversation with you or with me or you, the listener, in terms of the context, because they have a problem. We're providing them a solution. So how can I help them with that? And if it's not with me, fine, decide to move forward, because the fear, or there's the ROI. Everybody's looking at the number and what's my return on investment. The other thing to consider is your COI. What's the cost of inaction? If you don't take action, it's worse. At least, one of my clients says he calls it tuition. Well, I paid tuition on that one because he had to learn from the mistake. It's worth making a mistake and learning from it than not doing anything at all, because that's paralyzing.
One of my favorite phrases: you either close or you learn. It's one or the other every single time. You also talk about the importance of knowing and understanding your why. Can you explain that a little bit?
This is Simon Sinek's book, Start With Why, highly impactful for me. Absolutely love it. I got it as a gift from my parents over the holidays a few years back. And it resonated so much. And it was already one of my questions in the High Ticket Sales University program, or Army of One sales training program. It's part of our video series, what you start before you come into the live portion of the dojo. It's, what is your why? And so why, Jeff, is the fuel that gets you out of bed in the morning without an alarm. Why is, as salespeople and or as entrepreneurs, we've heard stories of the grind and everything else. And there's a certain level of truth to the grind. I will respect that. The why is what powers you through. It's not the what, it's the why. Like, what's a why? And you can have several whys. And I'll give you an example of one of mine, and I'll ask you what's a why for you, Jeff? So one of my whys, as I look over on my vision board on my wall, I'll even do this. I'll move this here and you'll see what I mean. So there's a piece of my vision board, and there's a home up there that my wife and I are currently building. And it's a long-term project. We don't need another house. This is going to be at the lake where I've been living part-time here in Winnipeg and part-time on Lake of the Woods, Ontario, for my whole life. And so we bought a property there and we're building, and it's a long-term project. The house is not the why. It's what the house represents for my future grandkids. Because between Shauna and I, we're like the Brady Bunch. We've got 5 kids ranging from 23 all the way to 31. We know that we're going to have grandchildren one day. And what it represents is like the future for us. Because the lake already represents something that's so much fun and family time and history and memories. It's not about money. It's about quality time. And so that's a reason why that I want to continue to grow my business, because the legacy for me is not leaving it to my kids. It's being able to spend quality time with my kids at the lake. So that's a powerful why. And that honestly wakes me up in the morning. I love to work, and it's fun. So how about you, Jeff? Like, what's a why that drives you?
I'm with you 1,000,000%. Look, I've got money. I live in a beach house a block away from the ocean. My life is very, very good. My why is my 3 children. Mine
Yeah.
are just slightly younger than yours. I've got a 21-year-old who's going to graduate from University of Virginia in May with a degree in aerospace engineering. She just
Congrats.
got a job the other day. So she's all set in August.
Nice.
Amazing offer. My other 2 kids are 20 and they're both in juniors in college. It's all about, how do I provide them with the best opportunity to be the most magnificent human beings they can possibly be and enjoy long, healthy, wonderful lives. That's what I live for.
And
And
don't
and I love helping others.
and isn't it interesting with this skill set, because it's really cool. I found that with my kids, they've learned some things. Some of them have been listening in, and some of them are asking me questions about, I'm going to put them in quotation mark now, sales. And they've been able to apply them because, like, I've got one daughter who's a lawyer, and she can now apply some of these things that she has learned from me. And it's so great. It feels so good because, she's gone to university to learn about law, and now she can apply these skills. And what's great is these skills can monetize forever. So it's so much fun to be able to share these
Yeah.
things. And 95% of the things that I'm sure you or I teach, we've learned from other masters in our lifetime. I truly believe that I'm responsible for maybe 5% of the content that I've, like, here's one that I made up. This is me. And this came from Jim Rohn. This came from Zig Ziglar. Like, I'll tell people where I learned this from. It's fine.
Tommy Hopkins and all. Look,
Yeah.
my mentor in the training business, I've told him a million, he'll hear me say something, go, "Oh, that's great." I'm like, "I stole that from you." Every word that comes out of my mouth is really just repeating what you said. He goes, "No, it's not." I'm like, "Yes, it is." We're all an accumulation of everything that's brought us up to this point.
Mhm.
So what is the actual sales objection system?
So you know what? This is great. Yeah, there's an author of a book called Reimagine called Tom Peters. And Tom Peters wrote a book called In Search of Excellence, and he coins it, simplicity is elegance. Simplicity is elegance. So what is the SOS? What's the sales objection system? 2 steps. 2 simple steps. Step 1 is we acknowledge the person. When you hear an objection, we acknowledge the person that we're having a conversation with. And then step 2 is we simply ask them a question. Now, again, simplicity is elegance. Acknowledge, ask a question. Now, most people go, "Well, thanks, Joe. I'll take the blueprint and run." And I'm like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa!" Because just understand, and I've actually got this prepared here. Okay, when emotions go up, intelligence goes down, and so this is the whole thing. Just because I know what the blueprint is doesn't mean I'm going to do it right. So I'll give you the example. The classic is, "Wow, that's expensive," or, "Oh my God, is that in pesos?" Right? So the answer, when we believe in what we have, right? I'll give you the acknowledgement and ask the question, right? The acknowledgement, "Wow, that's expensive." Well, Jeff, thanks for letting me know how you feel. I'm not agreeing with you. I'm simply acknowledging you. "Thanks for letting me know how you feel, Jeff. I'm curious, what exactly are we comparing this to?" Let me unpackage this very quickly with you. Number 1, when emotions go up, intelligence goes down. If somebody says to you, when you believe in your product, your service, your program, your offering, when you believe in it heart and soul, that's the trap. Because if somebody says, "Wow, that's expensive," or, "Yeah, you know what, I'm going to take time to think about it," you're feeling like, what do you mean? What do you think about it? Like, I just proved to you need help, right? And so that emotional response suddenly comes across as pushy. And so acknowledging the person first, it's like, "Hey, you know what? I really appreciate you letting me know how you feel. I'm just curious." And doing little things like this, when your head is straight and you're talking to someone, you're in the authority position. And just by tilting your head by 15 degrees, you go into empathy. So it's like, "I'm just curious, what exactly are we comparing this to?" And these little cues, you add these to your toolbox, and then all of a sudden, at first, people try this out and they're bobbleheading and it's really, like, uncomfortable. And then all of a sudden you get it, and you're suddenly, it's just natural. And this is why you got to practice. You've got to practice.
So funny, Joe, because when I teach closing, I tell people, obviously when people say yes, you're going to write up an order or whatever you do. But when people say no, I teach them what I call the dog cocking its head trick. I have a pug and he does that all day long. And it's so I say things to him just to get him to go like this. And when somebody says no, I teach people to go, really? I didn't expect you to say that. Why
Right.
not? So
Right.
it's that little subtle thing that makes it, that gets deeply inside somebody's psyche. And, oh, this guy's understanding me.
Right.
Instead of I got to sell you something. Don't argue with me. Why wouldn't you be buying this? I believe you cannot win a fight with a prospect.
No,
Why
I
would you look
totally.
stupid?
Doesn't it? And I couldn't agree with you more. So doesn't it make sense that you can acknowledge the person and then ask the question, and it continues the conversation forward. So there's a couple of words that will stop a conversation dead in its tracks. No, but. So the word but, if when you acknowledge someone, if you add the word but, you negate the acknowledgement. Thanks for letting me know how you feel, but what exactly? No, if you put but in there, it's thanks for letting me know how you feel, but what you're actually saying is I don't care how you feel when you use the word but. So use the word and or just pause. And this is where a lot of salespeople think that they've got to fill in the blanks. It's actually okay to have a little bit of quiet. Thanks for letting me know how you feel, Jeff. What exactly are we comparing this to? Take your time. It's okay.
Silence is a salesperson's, a comedian's and a salesperson's best friend. When you take a comedy course, and I've taken two, they teach you, don't step on the laugh. When somebody's laughing, shut up. And so many comedians, they're so intent on just getting the next line out that you're actually stopping the audience because they want to hear what's coming next and they stop laughing. Silence for salespeople, absolutely the same. Joe, I don't think we discussed this in the pre-interview, but so much of what you're saying is so familiar to me. Did you by any chance take the original EST training or the Landmark Forum?
I did some work with Landmark, and yeah, let's face it. I mean, there's people, yeah, and I've done some Tony Robbins work, and I did, my original sales training, the first steps were with Jim Rohn. And so, I mean, you think of all of these masters over the years, and I mean, and I can give credit to dozens and dozens of them. And so, yeah, I mean, and of course, some School of Hard Knocks.
Of course.
Those were like, okay, that helped, and oh, that helped. And so, and then there's some things that I like to say. One of my other mentors, and Bill, who I was in an Al-Anon program, believe it or not. So there were other people in my life that had issues with alcohol, and it was affecting me. And he used to say this, he's like, take my information like spare ribs, you keep the meat and throw away the bone. And I agree with that. So if there's things that you're hearing today, that's like, yeah, that aligns with me. Great. If that doesn't make any sense, well, that's okay. Don't use it. Because the beauty of sales, it needs to be authentic. And so authenticity comes with repetition. And this is the part that like a musician, and it's something that I say in some of my live workshops when I go speak, this is the question. Are you familiar with the song All Along the Watchtower? Right? Most people would say, and I usually ask, and I know you probably know the answer. I'll ask, so who wrote the song?
I don't know who wrote it. The first version I heard was Jimi Hendrix.
Jimi Hendrix, right. So it was written by Bob Dylan.
Oh, I think I did know that.
Yeah. So but you're answering it like most people do. They go, well, I know the Jimi Hendrix version. And so here, Jimi Hendrix had to learn the notes, and then he repeated it so many times. And now when you hear Jimmy's playing the music. And so just like in sales, you have to know the roadmap. You got to start with the script, repeat. What we do is we give you like the acknowledge, ask the question on screen during the dojos, and then we take it away. And then we get people to practice it in their own authentic voice. They play the music. And then we get them to practice it where there's no ums, uhs, stuttering, but, or excessively long pauses. We do that on purpose so that you can develop the synaptic response to a level of unconscious competence, so that the conversation just becomes flowing. It's natural, as opposed to that robotic feel that people are afraid of. And we don't want that. I want you to be you. Sales is a conversation where the other person is compelled to make a decision. That's all it is.
That's my definition too. Sales is a conversation or a series of conversations leading to help the other person choose to do business with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
By the way, Stevie Ray Vaughan does a good version of All Along the Watchtower
He
too.
does. He does.
Yeah.
And Blue Child.
You mentioned scripting, and I know that salespeople cringe when I tell them you need scripts.
Yeah.
Why don't salespeople like scripts, and how can they use a script without sounding like a robot?
So it's that whole robotic scare, the fear of sounding like a robot. And I again, it's also the fear of practice. So people just want to have, and we see this all the time in the dojo. People, we give folks the opportunity of, here's the script, and they immediately they try to ad lib, they try to improvise. Improvisation is also a skill that if you don't practice that first, and so it ends up sounding terrible. And the outcome, so the outcome goal is the win-win. Scripts are absolutely critical. Jeff, you just nailed it. Start off with a script, or at least some kind of outline of what the outcome goal will be. So we make it very simple. And then over time, again, like what we've said is repetition, repetition, repetition. Are you familiar with John Wooden? The all-time winningest coach in the NCAA. Okay. So his rule, he had 8 laws of learning, and we've applied a 9th law. The 8 laws of learning for John Wooden were information, demonstration, imitation. Those are the first 3. Now, the information, like these are NCAA athletes. The next level up for these people would be the NBA. These are grown men that they already know how to put on their socks and tie their shoes. The first practice every year for these athletes that are even repeating because they're in college, so they're coming in for year 2, year 3, year 4. Practice number 1 is, here's how you put on your socks, and here's how you tie your shoes. And they all have to do it with John Wooden. That's exactly how you did it. And the reason was, we're going to do it this way because the team's going to count on you all season long, and you can't get blisters. You need to be okay. And then it's law number 4, repetition. Law number 5, repetition. Law number 6, repetition. Law number 7, repetition. Law number 8, repetition. We add the 9th law, authentication. And so the scripting needs to happen. If somebody said to us, I do not want to use the script, we would say, that's okay. You can leave the dojo. Here's your money back. No problem. Because we know that the process has been proven, whether it's in sports, whether it's in music, or it's in sales. And look at an actor. Here's the great example. There's a movie called The Score with Robert De Niro, Marlon Brando, and Edward Norton. Great movie, by the way, filmed in Montreal. And the way that the director, whose name escapes me right now, the way the director did it was they would do 4 takes for every scene. The first 3 takes were by the script. The 4th take was, you guys know what the outcome of the scene's supposed to be, so you guys just go over it and improvise, knowing what the outcome's going to be. 95% of the movie was 4th takes. So they had done the rehearsal, then they had done the actual 3 takes, and then they actually did the 4th take, which was improvised. And these are top level actors. They got the script first, they crushed it on film.
Yeah, I get it completely. Learn your script first, and that gives you the ability to be confident enough to improvise. I've been doing comedy for a year and a half. My script has changed, but it is a script. I know what I'm saying when I get up on this. I'm not just winging it, but I'm at the point now where I'm finally comfortable enough to do what's called crowd work, interacting with the audience and improvising. But it's taken a year and a half to get me to that confidence level where, okay, if I say something or react to something that the audience says, I will be able to come back to what I need to say next. But it takes that practice over and over, and making mistakes and being willing to look stupid and not get a laugh or maybe get heckled until you work it to the point where you do know it so well that you can do it in your sleep. And then that's where you become comfortable and can improvise.
You and I were talking about this when we first spoke, and it was comedians in cars getting coffee with Jerry Seinfeld. And as he's talking with these other comedians, and I find the link to comedy and the work that these guys have to do, both men and women have to do to be able to be really good on stage. It's they write something down. Okay, I'm going to try this. And then they go and try it. And then, yeah, didn't work. Or yes, it did work. And then they polish it. And it's the Kaizen approach. So they take it from a small club to a larger audience to literally in some cases, Kevin Hart talks about the fact that, hey, I'm not going to go try something new in front of a stadium or in front of an arena. He does it in a small club and he has other peers around. And what do you think? And that's the critical component, which takes me back to why we do it live. It's not just read a book or watch this video. The live training, the live interactive training is what I believe is what sets us apart, because it's live. And that's where the biggest differences happen.
Yeah. I used to think, wow, how do these guys and gals get on a stage and do a Netflix special for an hour, just talking comedy? And I was just like, wow, that's an amazing talent. I could never do that.
Yes,
I mean, I still can't do an hour of material. I'm comfortable at the 10 to 12 minute level right
sure.
now. But what I found out was they don't just get on a stage and do a Netflix special. They've done exactly what you said. They've done 10 minutes here and 15 minutes there and 20 minutes here in little tiny clubs. Even the Seinfelds and the Chris Rocks and those people, they're not doing that in front of a large paying audience playing. They know exactly what they're doing, but it seems like they're just making it up. That's the key. When you can internalize it so much that you can actually have a conversation with the audience, so it seems like you're making it up off the top of your head, that's when you're in real great territory.
And they're also recording it. These guys are so good. And this is the important thing. I mean, if you're not recording your calls right now, I highly encourage it. Like, we record our practice sessions so that people can actually, and we'll tell people, hey, so we're at 46 minutes in, Jeff, I want you to go back and listen to it and watch the way that you did that. That way you can actually see and get the critical component of feedback, timely feedback or course corrections. So if you're a comedian, same thing. If you're a salesperson, same thing. Record it. Oh yeah, that got a good laugh. Or, oh yeah, that one, I did a great job in my discovery at this point, because what I did was I did objection prevention. And this is the other thing that I'm going stream of consciousness here, Jeff. There's a lot of people that would claim that if you have a perfect consultation, you'll get rid of all of the objections. And I don't believe that. I would call BS on that. If you're selling something that is of quality or high ticket, you're generally going to still run into some resistance. Now, if you do a great job of discovery, you'll do some objection prevention. And so you'll lower the probability, or certainly lower the number of objections. Statistics have shown that on products and services of $1,000 or more, you're typically going to run into an objection or no 5 times before you get to yes. And so if you could bring that down to maybe 2 objections, or maybe just 1 objection, that's where your discovery is so important. And then your ability with that confidence, as you and I were talking about earlier, to have that stand in your authority, play your A game, be the trusted advisor, so that you can confidently handle objections and then move forward.
You mentioned alignment before. What's the ASK or ASK model, and what's that got to do with alignment? And what does alignment have to do with selling?
Thank you for asking this. Alignment. So the ASK model is align, sell, keep. If it starts with alignment, and I'm a believer in the law of attraction. Before I can attract the right people, I need to make sure that I feel good and that I'm thinking in the right alignment of my thoughts. If I don't feel good, if I don't have the right energy, and you might have picked up, I'm standing up. When I'm on sales calls, I highly recommend, if you want to build confidence, you want to have energy, you want to be able to have that magnetism. This is something that I learned from Tony Robbins. It's change your state. Change your state. If you're in a retail environment, and I tell retailers this all the time, if you're sitting down and you're a specialty boutique store and the phone rings, change your state, stand up, then answer, because you're going to have that higher energy instead of, hello, this is Joe. Yeah, right? I mean, my fitness store, we'd stand up and it'd be, it's a great day at Fitness Depot. This is Joe speaking. And we had a way to answer the phone, something that was unique, right? So align yourself with that good energy. Then it's attractive. So alignment is so critically important. Then the part of ask is align, sell, keep. So of course you need to have the sales roadmap. You need to understand the sales, each component of the sales roadmap, and practice that. And then keep, how do I get more testimonials, get more referrals, and improve on the length of engagement with the people that I'm working with? Because some people, it's sell and see ya, and they don't think of your actual clients that are buying from you. They've gotten to know you, like you, and trust you. They're the best source of organic leads. So, I mean, we have people that are members of the dojo. They don't pay for ads at all, and they've got 7-figure, 8-figure businesses. So, and I'm not saying that you can't spend money on ads. your birds of a feather flock together. It's also having that confidence of being able to ask for a referral or ask for permission to be able to, do I have permission? Can I count on you to ask to provide me with a couple of names of people that would also love to get the service that we're providing you, or you just bought this product? Can I count on you? Who do you know who? Right?
Great. By the way, I'm constantly asked by people, are you standing up? Why are you standing up during my networking meeting? I stand for 2 hours, sales calls, interviews like this. You feel different.
Oh,
when I teach cold calling, it's like, let the phone ring. And as it rings, stand up. You're going to sound different. You feel better. Your chest expands, your diaphragm expands. You just sound better. Plus, you tend to gesture more naturally like you do in a real conversation. And that's always my advice. Any conversation with a prospect should sound like you're talking to your best friend, minus the profanity.
And if you're if you're on a Zoom call, and this is one of the techniques that I recommend, is some people are excellent at typing. The problem with that is that the message coming across is, are you on Facebook? Are you checking your stocks right now? Are you on Instagram? So I recommend grab something. Yeah, there you are, Jeff. So, and I let people see that I'm taking notes, because discovery is important. And Confucius say bad handwriting better than good memory. So I take the notes, and then when I transition, which is my recap, I'm going to go over my notes with my guest. And again, I call them guests because, like my grandfather used to do when I was a little guy, the guests that would come over to his home, my grandparents would actually give up their bedroom for guests, which blew my mind as a kid. And so when you think about it, and not that you're, again, being in alignment, somebody calls, let's say you and I are in the middle of a conversation, all of a sudden my phone rings and it's like, Jeff, you know what? Sorry, it's my wife calling. Hey, Shauna. Yeah, I'm actually speaking with a prospect right now. Like, nobody would actually say that. If you're feeling prospect, it comes across, like, people pick up on the vibe, right? It's a vibration. It's a vibe. Now think of it this way. You're my guest. Hey, Shauna, you know what? I'm actually speaking with a guest right now. Can I call you back? Right? You can feel the difference in the word guest. And so, Jeff, you're my guest right now. I'm your guest on your podcast. In a conversation, in terms of sales, I want to help you. You're my guest. And even if I don't use the word, if I feel that word and I'm thinking that word, what we think about, we bring about. So again, it comes back to, what's the SOS? Well, acknowledge, ask a question. When emotions go up, intelligence goes down. What we think about, 55% of the way we communicate is body language. So if I'm feeling a certain way and I can't believe you're going to buy, what's this face? Right?
The other reason I think it's important to take notes is not just to remember, which I think is crucial, but it's also, when you're taking notes, you're telling the other person, your words are important to me.
I care.
And that makes them feel good and special, which is exactly what I want my guests or prospects to feel.
You got it.
We're in alignment on something else. I am not a fan of discounting. I don't do it in my business at all. When I give somebody the investment number, that's it. I don't negotiate a penny. I feel it's the weakest way to sell. You know, when somebody gives you an objection, you immediately drop your price. So
no kidding.
How can salespeople learn to stop offering big discounts just to close a sale?
Yeah, and negotiation is something that we all need to have a better handle on. I love Chris Voss's book, Never Split the Difference. If you haven't picked that up, I highly recommend it. It's a great book. And the intention here is having policies in place. And I'll give you an example, Jeff. Because some people say this to me, I'm adamant, I don't discount, and that's okay. Remember, no can stop a conversation dead to rights. So if somebody says, is that your best price? Does this ever go on sale? What if I buy two? What if I pay cash, right? I mean, there's a variety of different things that, like, the discount in and of itself, if somebody's asking for something, that's an ask to buy question. So they're clearly interested. The context that I want to give you is this, and I'll give you an example. I was in a boutique store. They were a high-end electric bicycle retailer, and this couple were buying 2 electric bikes with a whole bunch of accessories. It was just under $14,000. It was I remember the number. It was $13,876. And the gentleman said, so what kind of deal can I get on this? And I SOS'd it. And I said, well, I can appreciate you're looking for a good deal. I'm just curious, what exactly did you have in mind? I wasn't saying yes. And I can appreciate you're looking for a good deal. What exactly did you have in mind? My body language was saying no. And he turned around, he said, well, can I get these 2 water bottles? Like the water bottles themselves, right? You're smiling, right? So if the policy is literally zero, then the answer is, unfortunately, we can't. In this world, it was 14. Am I going to give up a 14K or $13,876 deal for a couple of water bottles? So you stop and you say, so what you're saying is, if I get these water bottles for you for free off your total invoice, we're going to do this now, not today, now. And his answer was, well, yeah, like, congratulations, Jeff, you're going to love this, right? And
enjoy the water bottles.
Right. And when we congratulate someone before we get paid, what we're doing is we're congratulating them and validating the decision-making process. So when I say, Jeff, congratulations, what are the 2 words you're going to say back to me? Congratulations, Jeff. Thank you.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
And so when we can help people thank us to helping them making the decision, they feel good about it. And then when we get to the point of, all right, and the total is 13,876. All right. Yeah, it went through again. Congratulations, Jeff. You're going to love these products. Thank you. They're thanking you for giving you the 13,876, or if it's 100,000 or if it's 1,000, doesn't matter the amount. They're thanking you for taking their money because they're happy that they've decided and they're moving forward across the starting line.
Yeah, I sold Encyclopedia Britannica door to door for 8 years. Yep, that's how I started my career. And we were taught to do the same thing. When somebody said yes, it was congratulations. And then it was, what made you decide to invest in your children's future with Encyclopedia Britannica today?
Wow.
And they would just talk themselves back into it, because when you bought Britannica, you had 72 hours to cancel. And it was right on the back of the contract.
Right.
And we wanted to solidify that sale. So instead of me saying all the reasons that they made a smart decision, we'd let them tell us why they did it, because when I say it, I'm a lying salesperson. When they say it, it must be true. I love that. We're quickly running out of time. We've only got time for one more thing.
Sure.
I've got 75 more questions for you, but let's go with this one, because again, this is near and dear to me. Why is gratitude important when selling? And what are some of the ways we can express gratitude to our clients?
I love this. I love this. Gratitude is actually magic. There's going to be times, well, let's face it, we're human beings. There's going to be times that you might run into a slump. Gratitude is what's going to help you get out of that really fast. Appreciation for others is what's going to help. It just wins over self-promotion. I'll put it this way. When I say I appreciate you versus I appreciate it, it really, really solidifies that connection. And these little word plays make a massive difference. So when I show appreciation by letting people know, and it's not just thank you. For me today, I can say, thank you for having me on, Jeff. My piece of gratitude today is, Jeff, I want to thank you and I appreciate you so much because we both share a passion about what we do here. And I really want to say I'm super grateful. And the because is you're allowing your audience to find out about who I am. And that means the world to me. And by me explaining that, it allows you to know that I'm heartfelt. Just recently, I did a speaking engagement and the audio video team at the back. I could have easily said, hey, thanks, guys. And I walked up to each individual and I said, under a huddle, I said, can we have a quick huddle, you guys? And I said, I just want to thank you guys because without you, I don't sound good. And you guys make me look good up there. So thank you guys very much. And they were all like, holy crap. And what did it cost? The gratitude. I got goosebumps. I'm not kidding. Like goose flesh for real. Can you see it? Where's okay. Nice. So when we show gratitude, it feels good. It creates alignment in terms of our thought process. It just brings everything together. When you feel good, it attracts. So alignment before law, it's the missing piece of the law of attraction. I've got to feel good. Really, really, really important. And it's heartfelt.
Yeah, I love that. And I'll tell you a very quick story, then we're going to close.
Okay.
I also talked to the AV guys actually before the program starts. I was down in Florida once doing a program for 300 people who were there, plus people all around the world who couldn't make it. So I talked to the camera guy beforehand. I said, any chance you can make me look like kind of a cross between Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt? And he looks me right in the eye and goes, it's a camera, not a magic wand. Hey, Joe, we have run out of time. I'm sharing my screen right now. Can you please tell people how they can reach out to you if they're interested in talking to you or perhaps being a part of your dojo?
Yeah, absolutely. You could go visit the website sosdojo.com and click on free session and then come in and visit for a free session. It costs you nothing. You can either say, "Hey, I'm here as a guest and I just want to watch," or by all means, come and participate. Come have some fun. You could follow me on Instagram, for example, at Coach Joe Marcoux, Marcoux, as in X marks the spot, or you just email me SOS to Joe at sosdojo.com. And yeah, I'll get you a free session. I'll get you set up for a free session. Just come in and have some fun. That's what it's all about.
Super. Well, before we go, let's just say that Don Levine, our executive recruiter here on Long Island, says this is terrific. I think it was too. I appreciate you, Joe. This has been fantastic. Thank you for generously sharing your brilliance with us. If there's anything I can do for you at any point, please let me know. And I'll end as I always do. Gang, please remember that sales is a game of making things happen. So get out there and make sales happen. Have a great weekend, everybody. Thanks again, Joe. Thanks, everyone. See you soon.